For those of you who have a reproduction of the Colt Walker revolver like this, I want to share a tip today about a multi-tool made for that gun that might make your disassembly and reassembly procedures a little easier. I'm Dustin and you're watching Guns of the West. Now this will not be a full disassembly instructional video because I've done that in other videos in the past, just not with this little tip. But here are some of the main parts of the Walker after it's been disassembled to this point, and I want to show you some of the features of this little tool. First of all, it has a nipple wrench, and it does actually fit. I'll put it on one of the nipples there. Won't bother backing the nipple all the way out, but I'll at least show you it does in fact work. And it's got the clearance to get around without getting hung up on the cylinder. So there's that. And it also has a flathead screwdriver which actually fits in every screw of the Walker revolver. Even these smaller ones, fits them just fine. And the hammer and the ones on the bottom and the ones on the grip frame. But here is my favorite feature about it. If you have a Walker, you know what a pain this spring can be. The Walker does not have a nice flat screen like all the other Colt revolvers out there, in cap and ball revolver anyway. Instead, it's got this, and you've probably seen me in other videos having to push that down and wrestle it out, and then the real pain is getting that spring back on when you reassemble the gun. It can really wear out your fingertips, and some of you have probably experienced that. But thank goodness you've got this tool, and it has a peculiar shape, but here's why. If I just cock back the hammer, oops, get that spring nice and centered where it was, get the hammer cocked back. Now I'm going to have to take my finger and sort of push it back just a little more to compress that spring down, and then this tool can slide right over it like that, holding it in place. So if I pull the trigger, there's no more spring tension on the hammer at all. Now the only problem is, I showed you it has a flathead screwdriver, but you are going to need another flathead screwdriver handy, because once this is in place, you can no longer use the screwdriver. So use your other screwdriver to remove these 3 screws on the trigger guard, and the whole trigger guard will drop off of the frame with this tool holding that spring in place. Now once you've got that off, you can wiggle it off if you like to be able to remove your spring, and then when you put the spring back on the trigger guard, while the trigger guard is disconnected, you can get it back on there just by holding it down with your fingers and then reinserting it, or putting it on rather. So let's go ahead and get to that point. Now after you've done all of your cleaning or whatever work you're doing and you're back to this point in your reassembly, notice how the spring is already going to be under the hammer, so there will be no fighting to get it into position. So I can just bring my trigger guard up to here, and I'm just going to reinstall these 3 screws. I'll get that done off camera and I'll be right back. Now I've got all 3 of those screws installed. Trigger guard is on good and tight. Notice the spring is still under the hammer, so I won't be fighting with it. And now I can just work this tool off of the spring, and the spring will pop up into place. Just sort of make sure it's centered, but again, I'm not having to wrestle it into place. And from there, everything is working as it should be. Much, much easier with this tool. Well, as always, I really hope you all enjoyed the video today, maybe even found the information helpful. Please don't forget to click the like button down below and subscribe to the channel so you can see more videos. And if you're interested, you'll see a link down there in the description of where you can find that multi-tool and a link to great Guns of the West products. Thank you all so much as always for watching.